Come, little children, I'll take thee away into a land of enchantment. Come, little children, the time's come to play here in my garden of magic. You're listening to Scarehunter Storytime. Many scary stories to chill your bones. Today's story is called The Tale of the Betrayed Friend. So turn off the lights, get cozy by the fire, and be prepared for some scares. Lindy ran through the forest next to the summer camp she was staying at in the middle of a huge thunderstorm. The thunder was so loud that none of the campers heard her crying out for help. As she kept running, she heard someone behind her who screamed, "You betrayed me! How could you betray me? I thought we were friends." Lindy, drenched from the rain, continued to run as she screamed, "Get away from me! Whoever this friend is, it's not me! Please, somebody help!" She looked behind her, then tripped over a tree branch and fell in a puddle. She tried to run, but she had twisted her ankle, so Lindy could only limp away. All the while, the person behind her just screamed, "You betrayed me! You betrayed me!" Lindy found a clearing and saw a cliff. She had a feeling someone was watching her. She turned around and saw a ghost of a girl coming for her. As the ghost girl continued to move towards Lindy, she started to move back. "You betrayed me! You betrayed me!" was all the ghost girl said as she got closer. Lindy kept backing away until she realized she was at the edge of a cliff. She looked behind her and saw a rock break off and fall to the other rocks below. She looked in front of herself again, and the ghost girl was right in her face as she screamed, "You betrayed me!" Lindy screamed as she lost her balance and fell off the cliff. She hit the pointed rocks below, and as she bled to death, the ghost girl vanished as she quietly said, "You betrayed me." When morning came, all campers were gathered together to hear what the camp counselors had planned for them that day. One counselor stood in front of the campers and said, "I'm sad to say one of our campers is missing. We're all going to go look for her." The campers agreed and got ready to look for Lindy. As they looked for her, two campers, Bridget and Crystal, started talking about what could have happened to Lindy. Crystal sniffled and said, "What if a bear got her? Or a wolf? There are plenty of those around here." Bridget put her hand on Crystal's shoulder and said, "Don't say that. We'll find her." After a couple hours, everybody regrouped for lunch. While everyone was eating, a camper named Lars looked at his group and said, "I don't want to assume the worst, but what if Sally's ghost got her? Everyone at his table looked at him in silence. His friend Brad said, "Don't you ever joke about that." "Who's Sally's ghost?" asked another camper at the table. Brad looked at the camper and said, "Legend has it that in the 1970s, a girl named Sally used to go to this camp. She had a friend named Bella who also went here. Turned out they both liked the same guy and did everything to get his attention. He liked Bella more than Sally. One day, the guy named Corey decided to pull a prank on Sally. What he did was he wrote Sally a letter asking her to meet him at the camp lodge so they could make out. Bella wanted to tell Sally about the prank, but she couldn't find her. Sally went to the lodge to meet Corey. When she got there, the lodge she saw that it was dark, but there was a nice fire going. Sally sat by Corey and they started talking. As they talked, Sally began to undress so she and Corey could make out. As she got her shirt off, flashes of light started to go off, and she heard laughter. All the campers came out of their hiding places laughing and taking pictures of Sally with her shirt off. Sally began to cry. She put her shirt back on and ran off as the campers kept laughing. When she saw Bella in the crowd, she got angry and yelled, "You betrayed me! How could you humiliate me like this? I thought we were friends." Bella tried to tell her that she had nothing to do with what happened, but Sally wouldn't listen and continued running. When Sally got to the woods, rain started pouring down, soaking her to the skin. She continued to run and continued to cry. When she got to a clearing, she knelt on the grass and kept crying. Sally heard rustling in the bushes and snapping of twigs. She thought a killer was after her and got so scared that she backed away, not noticing the cliff behind her. She lost her balance and fell off the cliff. As she bled to death, she only said 3 words. "You betrayed me." Now her ghost haunts this camp and getting her revenge on anyone all alone in the woods at night. They fall off the cliff, never to be seen again. When Brad finished the story, the camper looked at him wide-eyed and said, "No wonder you said never joke about that." Lars looked at Brad and said, "I'm not joking. I'm being serious." Brad said, "Well, after lunch, let's find the cliff and see if we can find anything." "Not without us," Bridget said as she and Crystal walked up to Brad and Lars. They both looked at each other, and they knew the girls would rat them out if they didn't let the girls go with. The woods have been declared off limits to campers since the Sally incident, and only counselors are allowed to go in there. Later that day, the 4 of them snuck off to the woods when everyone else went to search for Lindy again. Brad pulled out a map and said, "Okay, if we just follow this path and go off this way and keep going straight, we should find the clearing and the cliff. Maybe we'll even find some clues to put Sally's ghost to rest." They agreed and headed out. Once they found the clearing, they went to check out the cliff. As they looked around, they heard rustling and twigs snapping. They thought it was Sally's ghost and started to scream. "What are you 4 doing out here?" The 4 of them stopped screaming when they noticed that it was a camp counselor. When they calmed down, Lars said, "We were we were thinking maybe Lindy fell off this cliff and we were going to check it out." The counselor glared at them, and then she said, "I'll talk to the other counselors and we'll check it out. You four, however, know this place is off limits. You could have killed yourselves." When they got back to camp, the counselor was not happy. She paced in front of the four of them as they looked at the floor in shame. When the counselor stopped pacing, she looked at them and said, "What in the world were the four of you thinking? You could have been really hurt. As punishment for going somewhere off limits, no camp activities for 3 days. Any arguments, and I will make it longer. Now go back to your cabins before I decide to call your parents." As the four of them left with their heads hung, the counselor sighed and said, "Campers just don't want to listen." Later that night, the counselors went to check out the clearing. When they got to the clearing, one counselor said, "Okay, I'll climb down the cliff and check it out. You guys keep an eye out." The counselor tied a rope to a tree and began to climb down. In the mess hall, during dinner, Lars sighed and said, "I got a bad feeling about this. We need to go back to the clearing." Brad looked at him in surprise and said, "Are you crazy? We could get in huge trouble." Crystal agreed and said, "We already lost 3 days of camp activities. You want to lose camp activities the whole time we're here? Or worse, have our parents pick us up and take us home?" Lars looked at them and said, "You're seriously more concerned about getting in trouble than the safety of our counselor? I can't believe you guys. I'm going, and you guys should be ashamed. I'm taking responsibility, and you should too." Brad, Bridget, and Crystal looked at each other and agreed to go with him. Before they left, they told their campmaster what happened. As the counselors kept an eye on the one climbing down, they started hearing the sound of crushing leaves and snapping twigs. The first one said, "I'll go check it out." He went back through the woods and disappeared. After a few minutes of listening to silence, they heard screaming. The counselor who was climbing down heard it too. At first they thought nothing of it, but then they heard someone else in the woods who said, "You betrayed me." The counselors on the top of the cliff began to freak out and tried to run, but it was too late. Sally's ghost found them. She tossed the body of the dead counselor in front of the others, and they saw that he had been gutted like a deer. The counselor climbing the cliff heard screaming and bones snapping. As she heard the screams, she began to climb up. She was almost at the top, and as she got to the edge of the cliff, the rope broke. As she struggled to hang on, she briefly saw the broken, bloody bodies of the counselors. She cried as she hung on to the edge. Sally's ghost saw the counselor and began to head over to the counselor. Sally was about to grab the counselor when she heard a voice that said, "Sally, no! Please stop!" Sally turned around and saw the campmaster. Sally looked back at the counselor, and the campmaster said, "Sally, it's me, Bella." As the camper stood there in shock, Sally started floating over to Bella. The campers snapped out of their shock and pulled the counselor back up. When Sally got closer to Bella, she said, "You betrayed me." Bella began to cry and said, "Please listen to me. The night Corey pulled that prank, I swear I wanted to tell you about the prank, but I couldn't find you. I looked everywhere for you, By the time I found you, it was too late. I tried to explain, but you just yelled that I betrayed you and ran off. I know you don't believe me, and that's fine, but please, don't hurt these campers. They didn't have any part in what happened that day. And one more thing. Bella held up a bracelet and said, I still have the friendship bracelet you gave me, and I never spoke to Corey after that day. Sally looked at the bracelet and smiled. She floated right up to Bella and said, I'm so sorry for everything. And thank you for always being my friend and telling me what really happened. I promise to leave forever. Goodbye. After Sally left, everybody hugged and went back to the camp. As they headed back, a soft, ghostly voice said, Why didn't you save me? Hope you guys enjoyed that. And if you did, share this and give me some likes and comment. Until next time, unpleasant dreams.